Hello, this is Sri Primo and wanted to give a quick update. I know it's been a while since the Australian Open has completed, both the men and women's. Madison Keys gets her first Grand Slam in her career. I think she's been to one final. I think she lost to Sloane Stevens. I think that was at the US Open. But this has been a journey like no other for Madison Keys. And she had an incredible run throughout the Australian Open, got to play um, Sabalenka. She did take down Sabalenka in the final in a very close, hard fought three setter. Um, Sabalenka was playing as good as any player that was coming into the Australian Open. She was really playing at a high pace, and I did think um, at the start of the tournament that Sabalenka was going to win it. And as the tournament continued on, I felt that she was going to win the final. But Madison Keys, what a performance by her! Um, really played some of the best tennis that you're going to see from her. And I think this gives her a lot of confidence. And, I hope this is not a one major thing for her. I definitely think, the confidence, she was ranked number 19 in the world. Her rating should improve, her ranking should improve. And I do think that it could be a huge boost for her in terms of future tournaments. So here we are um, with Madison Keys. What an amazing woman. I did think about like Coco Gauff or somebody else or Emma Navarro could make history by going to her first Grand Slam, but this was a Madison Keys tournament, and even in the final against Sabalenka, she won the first set rather easily. Second set, Sabalenka won, and usually when things happen, and Sabalenka was going for her three-peat, usually that for a player the caliber of Sabalenka, she's going to figure it out. She's world number one, even though Madison Keys is a very good player. I thought Sabalenka would come back, but give credit to Madison Keys. She stayed in it. She was able to match shot for shot against Sabalenka. She was able to match the intensity. She was able to match the tenacity for Sabalenka, and then her serve was really good against Sabalenka. And when she was like at 5 all, kept the game very close at 30-40. Hits an ultimate winner to capture her first Grand Slam final. So Sabalenka, unfortunately for her, she couldn't make the three-peat, but Keys was just phenomenal. Like I said, throughout the tournament, and this is some of the best tennis I've actually seen her play. Not even like as many years ago, she went to the U.S. Open final, but I think this version of Madison Keys is really taken the game to the next level. I think she has definitely worked on a lot of things that she needed to work on, whether it was in terms of her serve, whether it was in terms of her stroke making abilities. Um, she's changed a lot of, she's put some zip on her serve. She's definitely gotten a lot of the angles, able to move the players. And as every round as she went through every round, her confidence just grew. And she was not afraid to play the world number one. And she deservedly so is now a Grand Slam champion. And she's got this. And I think it'll be great to see her, how she's going to be doing in the French Open. Typically, that's a surface that favors Iga, but we still have a lot more ATP tournaments. I think the key for Madison Key is going for the next Grand Slam because that doesn't happen until May. There's going to be a lot of tournaments. I think with the confidence she's just has, she needs to definitely win a couple more tournaments for her to have to maintain that, not just the confidence, but the um, for her to believe in herself. I mean, she believes in herself, obviously, but I think to believe in herself to win not one but multiple majors. So Sabalenka can't finish the three-peat. Madison Keys, a first-time Grand Slam winner and a phenomenal win for American tennis. So good to see that. All right, then let's pivot to the world number one in tennis in men's is Sinner, and he's now played as good as we've seen him play. Just watching him play again, this was Zverev's opportunity, just like Madison Keys had the opportunity to win our first Grand Slam. This was Zverev's chance to win the first Grand Slam. As we know, he had a great match against Team that didn't go well. He was up 2 sets to 1 against Alcaraz. So you think this would be a charm, but Sinner has been playing just lights out. And when you look at it, let me give you some stats that blow you away. Um, he did not face a single break point in the three setter. And in the first set, Sinner, it was 3-all, and Sinner manages to break Zverev at the right time. And then once he was able to break him, it was just a matter of just serving it out. There were so many times that I was able to see where Zverev would win 1 or 2 points, but then Sinner would just figure it out. And then I think each point to him, and I think the players that you can go back and look at it, and this is why you're going to be compared against some of the greats. I'm not saying that he could win 20 majors like the big three, the Rafas and the Federers and the Djokovic, but where he's trending right now, I mean, he's changed so much in his game. Now, one of the things for him is that he's always been good on hard court. How would it translate to like a clay court and a grass? And I think he did say something about, well, he's been playing well. Let's see how it goes. So, but I do think that there's so many elements in the game that you've seen improvement. One thing that he's developed, which we all are so used to, the drop shot that Carlos hits against his opponents. That's something that Sinner. I mean, there's slightly different way they do their drop shots, and I think I was even listening to Roddick podcast, and he mentioned that Carlos almost like you could see him. He's almost like winding for a shot, and the last minute changes the shot. Sinners is almost like different, and even the match point that he had, that's exactly how he did it. He brought Zverev in, and then finished off with a great cross court to win the game. Again, coming back to this match, after winning the first set rather easily, the second set was a great battle. And again, this is something Zverev alluded to, and he played as good as he can. I don't think there was anything in his game that normally even Zverev wins these games. I mean, and you saw that. I mean, even against Djokovic. I mean, I know Djokovic was hurt, and I don't know how that match would have turned had Djokovic been completely healthy. But you know, Zverev had won the first set, so and then he was definitely playing, whether it was like playing Paul or things like that. I think he was so dominant, and figured that he would actually take a set or two of Sinner, and then once you get to like 5 sets in any major, it's anybody's game. But Sinner is just such a good player that he's not going to let you. There's nothing called like he doesn't take any point off. It reminds me of Nadal or Djokovic or Federer. They just continue to grind, and it's not like Zverev made too many unforced errors. It's just the nature of one player making a better shot at the end, and it usually is a Sinner. And like as I mentioned, not facing a break point is just incredible. And the break points that he had, he converts. Sinner converts every time, and that was the uh, Sinner winning back to back right now in the Australian Open. Now he's won the back to back majors as well, having won the U.S. Open against Taylor Fritz. He's now, it was 4-1 Alcaraz. It's now 4-3. So let the battle begin. And I think when you look at who's a more complete player, I think it's Sinner. I thought coming in, Alcaraz was more complete, and I thought Alcaraz was going to establish a very quick lead on Sinner, and that Sinner had to catch up. But again, this happened with the Federers and Nadals before Djokovic started to catch up. But right now, what you're seeing is that you're seeing a player who's so confident now. There is that little bit of the cloud hanging over the whole suspension thing. And I truly think, like when you think about, and again, I'm not defending Sinner here. I do think that when you look at how he's been playing, I hope that you want to see the best on the court. You don't want to see like someone like an Alcaraz or even Zverev winning a major without Sinner not in the field. So I'm really going to be interested in how this case turns out. But coming back to Sinner, it's now 4-3, but Sinner is a more complete player than Alcaraz. And you saw that when Alcaraz played against Djokovic. Alcaraz won the first set rather easily, and it looked like he was coasting. And even Djokovic mentioned that if he had lost that set, you would have actually seen a Zverev and Alcaraz. And who knows how that match would have turned. And again, on the hard court, I typically give Zverev the advantage over Alcaraz. But the completeness of going back to that, um, even against Djokovic, Alcaraz, after winning the first set, thought that he was going to breeze through because Djokovic seemed hurt. And once Djokovic saw that, he knew that he relaxed and he didn't let anything. And that's something that Sinner would never do. He's not taking any time off. He's not taking any points off. I mean, as much as we all think Alcaraz is a phenomenal player, a generational type player. At this level of the game, you just cannot take any point off, and that's something which is a signature Nadal thing. So it's something that Alcaraz should learn from. I would say his countrymen about if he has to continue to keep winning these majors and making sure that Sinner doesn't establish a bigger lead in the major race. I definitely think that he's in trouble if he doesn't, change his minds. And again, give them credit. Alcaraz is 21, Sinner's 23. And if these two don't get hurt, I really think that we're going to be seeing some wonderful tennis. Obviously, we have other players, some players that really made an impact for me in the Australian Open, apart from obviously Sinner, who goes on to become a very like I said, he's already like won multi Grand Slams. So his place is set, and then now he's now chasing all the other plays like the Agassiz and McEnroes right now before he can get to Sampras, and then finally, can he reach the magic 20 of the three greatest players that we see? So, going back to who I think were very impressive, who could pose a threat to Sinner at this point? Obviously, number one to me is Alcaraz. We're not sure where Djokovic is at this time in terms of where he's in injury. I do think that I was very impressed with the way Tommy Paul played this year, and then Ben Shelton. And of course, never count out Taylor Fritz. So having to see three good Americans who are playing um, at a very high level and hoping to see one of them literally break through and win a Grand Slam like a Madison Keys is going to be not just great for American tennis, but also to actually have more than two players right now, which is Alcaraz and Sinner. In fact, when you look at the last five Grand Slams, it's been won by um, Alcaraz and Sinner. So Sinner and Alcaraz split the last two. Sinner won this. So you need to see the third player come through to see a big rivalry, like a big three. Of course, Djokovic wanted to be there. He did say there he was the big three, but I think considering where he is from an injury standpoint, it's going to be tough in French Open. Come Wimbledon, I think I would say if Alcaraz doesn't get hurt, he's going to be the favorite. And then come U.S. Open, it's going to be Sinner. So Sinner and Madison Keys, what a performance by both of them. Truly great champions, and looking forward to not only from Sinner, but also from Madison Keys. With that, we wrap up this edition of the Australian Open recap. Thanks again for listening. Have a good night.